last week she told me about to call them, and I got Kathleen one for me. She got one Thursday. Yeah, and then I have 4 other friends that did too.
I donated one time, I have anybody.
CMS. Yes. Pharmacists and surgeons. It's PNS. It's here on Porter, across from the hospital. That's so old.
Up here.
I can't believe.
Oh, you're all in the middle. Okay, thank you. Man, you're so nice to meet you.
I mean, my brother's dealing with this.
Okay, well, I understand that completely.
And you know what, Robin, when you're the last one in there.
PNS pharmacy.
You get nominated for committees you don't want. Yeah.
Yeah, you are on.
Not my fault. Not my fault.
Which I was shocked.
Okay.
I'm a good sport.
We're here, and if you know, Randy, you can move more too, so that you feel farther away from people if you feel better doing that. We're trying a new facing this morning, so give us a time if you're at home watching. We are attempting to just be able to have a little more social distancing and add one person, so more into the class, and it looks, I think it's totally doable. So, if you're home, sit comfortably. You know, if you'd rather sit up on a blanket, take your time. And if you feel like you need to add blanket or blankets under you to get higher, you know, just be easy. Be mindful of how you're sitting. Close your eyes and start to lengthen up through the top of your head. Letting your shoulders release down away from your ears. And if you can, bring your hands into your lap, turn your palms upward, and cup one hand on top of the other. And see, and if it's comfortable, see if you can just slide your hands to a place where the tips of your thumbs can just barely touch. So your hands are supported in your lap, really. But you're still feeling open across your chest. And you're accepting your breaths in and out through your nose. Very easily, just switch the hand you have on top. You're still having your hands cupped here, letting the tips of the thumbs just gently connect there. And then again, come back to your breath. If you're comfortable to come into those 3-part breaths, inhaling into the belly, into the ribs, all the way up into your chest. On your next exhale, bring your hands gently to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your heart. And let's inhale the hands up through the midline. Keep them together. Only go as high as your shoulders allow you to go, keeping your hands together. And as you exhale, let the hands come right back down through the midline to be in front of your chest. And then again, inhaling the hands right on up through the midline. And on the exhale, letting the hands come on back down. This time, lift your elbows up a little bit. Feel your hands pressing a little more firmly together. And then release the elbows down. And one more time, inhaling those hands on up. And on your exhale, letting them come back down in front of your chest. And let's lift the elbows up one more time. Feeling the palms together, the fingers, the thumbs. And then clasp your hands. Send your palms out away from your chest here. Fingers are interlaced. And try not to roll your shoulders forward. Think about almost like your chest is coming forward a little bit. And let's inhale the arms up from here, as high as, again, your shoulders allow you to be. And we'll come over to the left. So let yourself come into reaching into more length in the right side of the body. Feel your right sitting bone drawing down. Engage your belly a little bit. And then we'll come on back up to the top and we'll go the other way. So letting yourself press into the heels of the hands. And then we'll come on back up to the top. If you're able to look up and it feels good to your neck to look up at your hands, do. And then we'll release the arms and let your arms come on back down beside you here now. And let's come on forward into a seated forward bend. Flex your feet. Take your time to make your way forward. Hands can give you support. You can stay really nice and long and up higher. Or you may decide you want to fold a little more over your legs. That depends on you, your back, your hips. Just breathe and release. Think about bringing your breath into your back body if you can. Good. So one more breath here. And then come up enough where you can walk over towards your left. So you come out over your left thigh and come into finding a little more release through the right side waist. Draw your right sitting bone back a little bit. And then we'll walk back through center and we're going to go to the other side. So coming over to the right, drawing your left sit bone back a little bit and find a little more through your left side waist. And then we'll walk back into center again. And from here, we'll make our way on up to sitting nice and tall, releasing the arms on out beside us here now. And inhaling the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, letting our hands come together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms back and out like wings. Now, if you're cross-legged, remember the leg you have in front. We're going to lean back and let our feet come to the floor. We're going to come just into a little boat pose. So if you can let your feet float up just a little bit, you can bring your lower legs parallel to the floor if you want to. You can keep holding your legs. You know, it's up to you. You can let go if you want. Just wake up a little bit here in the belly, the low back. If you need your hands to help give you support, do. Now we're going to come on back into other leg crossed in front unless you weren't cross-legged. Obviously, stretch your legs out if you need to. Flex the feet if you're cross-legged, press into the outside edges of your feet and coming on forward again into that seated forward bend. So take your time. This time, once you get your hands down and you're not very low, see if you can shift your torso one side to the other. So the hands kind of stay in the center, but you're just letting yourself shift a little bit, side to side. And if you want to go farther forward and keep doing that, that's fine. If you want your hands to go out farther and you want to lower yourself down closer towards the ground, that's up to you. And come back to center so you can stay to be with your breath a little bit here. Releasing into those nice, easy breaths. Let your head hang if it doesn't bother your back. Good. And then we'll walk ourselves on back up from here. And let your hands come on out beside you again. We'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And exhale our hands down together in front of our hearts. And this time, let's bring our legs out long. Let your legs stretch out for a second here. Move through your ankles. Let your feet circle. See if you can keep your legs still, though. So you're not moving the legs in and out, but your knees still face up, and you're just circling through with the feet. Reverse and go the other way. Good. And then bring your legs out a little bit wider, and we're going to come on forward. So waking up the backs of your legs here. You can have your hands to your shins, your thighs, your toes if you want to. Just be mindful. Feel those knees and toes facing up towards the ceiling. Let yourself Enjoy finding the backs of your legs, your inner thighs. Good, and then we'll make our way on back up and bring our legs on back in front of us. We're going to twist here. So take a nice inhale, and as you exhale, twist to your right. Bring your right hand behind you, wherever you want to go there. Left hand maybe to the outside of that right leg, maybe on top of it, doesn't matter. Just enjoy. Wake up your spine. Inhaling. And on the exhale, we'll come on back through center. We're going to go all the way around into the other direction. And one more inhale. And on the exhale, make your way back to center. Let's bring our hands behind us. And you can go flat to your palms, or you can stay up on your fingertips. Let yourself open the chest here, drawing the shoulders back. Imagine that string attached to the sternum, drawing you forward and up on a diagonal line, right? So you feel that openness here. Be easy wherever you like to look for your neck. And then we'll release to come on back up. Shake your hands and your legs out a little bit. And we're going to come on around towards our hands and knees. So you know, if you don't want to be on your knees on the floor, don't be. Use a blanket if you need. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Get yourself comfortable there so that you can feel your inner elbows turn to face each other. Spread the fingers wide. Pointer fingers parallel to each other there. If you can get really comfortable in your wrists though. And then just turn to look to the right. Let yourself just turn to look to the right side. And bring your right hand off the floor. Let the arm come straight out from your shoulder for a second. So it's to the side, not overhead, right beside you. And then bring it on up higher if you want to, opening up through the shoulder there. You don't have to do that higher. And then come on back down with the right hand, and we're going to go the left. Left arm straight out beside you. And again, this is optional. That lifting up depends on your shoulder. Don't force it. Feel like you're waking things up there. And then we'll come on back down again with the hand. And let's move through our cat-cows easily now. Let it feel very natural to flow through your back. Taking your own time. If cat or cow feels good to stay in for a breath or two, do it, right? Now this is optional. As you continue to kind of flow through your back, if you're okay to curl your toes under and keep moving through, do. Now this changes how this feels in your knees, so don't do it if it's uncomfortable to you. But if you can let yourself find that waking up through the feet there a little bit more. Good. Finish off the one you're on. Come back to neutral spine. Now we're going to lift up and back to down dog from here. So if your toes are curled under, all you have to do is lift your knees up and then shift your hips back and come into down dog. But of course you adjust how you need. Walk a little bit if you want. Bend a knee at a time. Let yourself open up the backs of your legs very easily. So try not to run. Try to let it be a slow walk here in your dog. So you can find your calves, the backs of the legs, one at a time. Good. And then finish off the one you're on. So you're in your full dog. Elbows hug inward, reaching equally back through your sitting bones. And then we'll lower our knees on back down. We're going to step our left foot forward and come into lunge. So if you know you like your blocks underneath your hands, grab them. Left foot forward, right foot back. Take your time. Let yourself get situated here in the length of stance that feels good to you. And draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Enjoy. Really let yourself be mindful of feeling the back of your head in line with your spine. And then from here, let's step forward with our right foot. And we'll step back with our left foot and come into our lunge on the other side. So again, finding that alignment, the alignment of the front knee. Feel that back inner thigh reaching up a little towards the ceiling and the right inner thigh reaching down towards the ground. let's switch again. This time switch however you want, whether you like to step backwards or forwards. Get yourself established. Then we'll bring our left hand on up to our left hip and roll that left shoulder up. Keep your hand down. Let your left hand just stay down on your low back. Reach out through the top of your head. And then bring your left hand down. We're going to straighten the right knee out. Left knee out. Let the right heel just go directly back behind your foot. It might not be on the floor. That's fine. Just feel the calf a little more in that back leg. Think of elongating your torso out over that front leg. Now, if you want, you can lift your left foot up and shift onto just the heel. If that feels good, give yourself a little more there. And then bring the left foot down, bend the left knee here, and we're going to switch legs. So however, again, you want to bring that right foot forward and come into your lunge. Really find your lunge here. And then we'll bring our right hand to our right hip. We're going to roll that shoulder up, hand down there onto your sacrum. Let yourself just enjoy finding the twist in the middle of the back. Try not to drop into the left side here. Good. And then we'll bring the right hand on back down. We're in our lunge. We're going to straighten that right knee out, and at first just you can look back at your left heel. Just make sure it's going directly behind your foot. And then look straight down so you have that length now. So you're elongating out over that inner right leg. And then again, it's optional whether you want to pick your foot up, keep your heel on the ground, lift your toes and the ball of the foot up or not. And then we'll bring the foot back down. If it was up, we're going to bend the right knee, find lunge. And we're going to step forward and come on into standing forward bend. So take your time, you know that. Use whatever support you need. Just get yourself feeling as equal as you can between your feet, whatever helps you do that. You know, if you like to lift your toes, if you like to shift around a little bit. Let your head feel nice and heavy. And let your jaw go. If like moving your mouth around a little bit helps to release through your jaw, do it. Full deep breaths. Good. So one more nice full breath here. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips as we bend our knees, press into our feet, and rise up. We'll inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Coming into mountain pose, whatever helps you to adjust your way into feeling comfortable, do. If you need to sway around a little bit, if you need to adjust how your feet are, do. But let your gaze come on forward and out, whether your eyes are opened or closed. Let yourself come into being with your breaths in and out. And then just imagine it's very effortless, almost like really the air around you is supporting you. You could stand in mountain pose all day and just let yourself feel that easy adjustment. So the body makes alignment adjustments really without you consciously knowing it. In other words, trust that your body might know more than you. We're going to release our arms on down beside us. And inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend your knees, come on forward into that standing forward bend. Let your next inhale, bring your hands to your shins, come into straight arms, legs can be a little bent or straight, and lengthen out through your spine here. Find that flat back. And then from here, just bring your left elbow across towards your right knee, to the outside of it a little bit. Keep the left arm long, though, and keep your right hand right on your right thigh. So you can just enjoy feeling that release between the shoulder blade there on your back. And then come on back to center. We're going to bring the right arm across. Again, kind of lying it on the outside of your left knee there, left hand on your thigh. You can turn your head to look left, but just enjoy. Right between the shoulder blades on your back there. And then we'll release. Come on back into standing forward bend. And we'll step our right foot back from here and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So take your time, walk if you need, spread your fingers nice and wide. Remember, in your dog pose, you are reaching so far back, like if you glance up at your hands and make sure they're equal, you've almost erased your wrist creases, right? So you have that sense of just being able to find very much of an ease in your wrist. You're not right on top of them. But you will be right now because we're going to inhale our way on out to that plank. And there are your wrist creases come into full play, right? Walk a little bit, bend one knee at a time in your plank here, trying to stay really solid in the pelvis and the belly, the low back. And then finish off, and we're going to lower down. Now you can put your knees down first if you want, or come down through a full push-up. Elbows by the ribs. So let's come on onto our forearms with our elbows underneath our shoulders. And take your time here. Bring your gaze between your hands. Good. And then we'll release back down, and we're going to come on back into down dog. So making your way back into your downward facing dog pose. Again, feel your hands equal in the mat, elbows hugging gently inward. Back of your head in line with your spine. And we'll bring the right foot forward to come into lunge. Now, you know you can put your left knee down if you need to get there. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Full deep breaths. Do what feels good to you for support. If you like to feel full weight, you can hold your own elbows. Or you can put your hands like behind your head if you want, just clasping them, not pulling, but that's certainly a little more traction as well. Nice, easy breaths. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise on up and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale the hands right up through the midline. Now come into a wide open V with your arms. Turn your pinkies towards each other. If you want to look up a little bit, you can. Now feel your tailbone reaching back down like it's coming back towards between your heels. And then as you exhale, bend your knees and fold on forward again. Let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back again. And this time we'll step the left foot back and find lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So again, spreading those fingers wide. Feel your hands on the mat. And see if you can just turn your head side to side. Look underneath one arm and then the other. Good. And then come on back to your full dog. Let your next inhale bring you on out to your plank. Nice and strong. And we are going to lower down again. Knees first if you need. Elbows right by the ribs. And let's come into a little cobra. Actually come onto your fingertips. Hug your elbows in and down a little bit towards your waist. Keep your belly working. And then see if from there you can stay right where you are and float your hands off the floor. And then bring your hands, palms down to the ground. And if you want to press up higher into your Cobra pose, you can. Elbows hugging in towards the ribs, shoulders away from the ears. Think about your gaze being forward so you're not tilting your head back. And we're going to shift back towards child's pose from here. Let yourself shift on back. And once you get back with your hips, bring your right forearm parallel to the front edge of your mat. Lower your head onto your forearm and just keep your left arm stretched overhead. And just breathe there. Breathe as you let your heart melt down a little bit towards the ground. Good. And then bring your left hand back so you can press up, and we're going to switch arms. So the left forearm is parallel to the front edge of the mat. Right arm stretches forward, head lowers onto that forearm. Press down a little bit into each of your hands. Feel that right elbow hugging inward. Good. Now let your heart melt down a little bit. Good. We're going to come on back up to all fours from here. And now see if you can shift forward towards a cobra pose. Now you don't have to go all the way. If you'd rather come more like to a half plank, you can. But if you can go ahead and send the chest on through and come forward into your full cobra do. And then from whichever position you're in, we're going to come back to down dog. So let yourself release all the way back into your downward facing dog pose. And we'll step our left foot forward from here to come into lunge. And then we'll come back into standing forward bend. Now if you're okay to put your hands clasped on your low back, do it. If not, don't. Just be easy. Be mindful of your breath. Kind of feel, sometimes when you put your hands back like this, it's kind of amazing, your head feels heavier, right? So enjoy that really heaviness of the head, the sense of creating space in your spine. And then we'll bend our knees and rise on up to standing, and we're going to inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Enjoy your mountain pose for a couple of breaths. Just enjoy feeling that sense of balance between the sides of your body and the front and the back of your body. Getting ready to move through 2 sun salutations, letting the breath carry us. We'll let our arms unfold down beside us and inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, come forward into our standing forward bend. We'll let your next inhale lengthen out your spine. Exhale, right foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. And let your inhale bring you to your plank. Your exhale will lower you down. And inhale into your cobra of choice. Exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising on up to the top with your inhale. And let your exhale carry you forward with a long back. Inhale into that long spine. Exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Inhale out to your plank. Let the exhale lower you down. And inhale into your cobra of choice. Exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising up again to the top. And let your exhale bring you forward. Inhale into that long back. We're going to come into down dog. Place your hands, jump, walk your way back, get back however you want. Try to wag your tail around a little bit here. And then see if you can pick one foot up at a time and kind of shake it out a little bit or circle it. You know, just find a little release, your foot, your ankle. Doesn't have to look like anything, just let it feel good. And then come on back to both feet on the floor. Reach back into your down dog. And we'll bring our feet a little closer together. Lift our left leg up in the air into a 3-legged dog. So your toes are facing down. Engage your belly. Really find that sense of the hips being fairly level. And then we'll bring that left foot on forward and through. We're coming up through Warrior 1. Have your blocks handy there by the front of your mat as you rise on up, getting yourself situated there with that back foot, the alignment there. Let your arms just hang. Kind of shake them out a little bit. Look down at your left knee. Feel really good about the length of your stance, the width of your stance. Shoulders are around square. Good. And now let's inhale just the right arm all the way out and up overhead. Now from here we're going to come in just a little bit of a side stretch. So it's really hard to go very far. Lift up out of your waist a little bit and lean over to the left a bit. Now it takes a lot of core work going on there. Come on back up to the top. Use your belly and then lower that arm on down. Let's try the other one. Left arm up. And again, lift up. Let yourself come over to the Right side now, you're letting yourself breathe into the left side you're stretching. And then we'll rise on back up and lower the arm on down. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. If you're a hand clasper, you like to send your pointer finger up, go for it. Elbows softly hugging in. Bringing yourself up a little bit with your gaze if you're comfortable to do that. Feel the feet in the floor. Let yourself enjoy. One more breath here. Good. And then let your gaze come forward. Bring your hands right down to be in front of your chest, in front of your heart. And we're going to straighten the left knee out. Think about drawing that right hip pointer around where your hips are square. And if you need to adjust, do it. And then unfold your arms. Bring them behind you. Now, you can either hold your wrists, your hands, your elbows. If you feel better to do reverse namaste hands, you can bring your hands into prayer hands back there behind you. We're going to come forward, so feel your thighs lifting up, coming towards pyramid. Now, you may just want to go a little bit and stay up higher. Feel the legs working. Open up the backs of the legs. Feel the thighs engaging up towards the hips. Take your time, you know that. Just see if you can stay up with your hands a little bit longer. And then when you're ready to lower your hands on down, any height you want to be, you know that. Take your time. If you get your hands down and something feels a little bit off and you need to adjust your stance, do. And just enjoy lengthening out through your spine here. Bring your left hand now up to your left hip and just let that twist happen. So you roll the left shoulder up. Left hand can go down, palm down onto the sacrum. You can lift the left arm up if you choose to. That's up to you. If it feels good in your shoulder to add the arm up, go right ahead. If it feels better to keep it down, do. And then we'll release and come on back down. If you want to fold forward over your leg from here, go for it. If not, just stay up higher. Just enjoy. Feel those thighs lifting upward. So one more breath. And then bring yourself more parallel to the floor again. We're going to bend the front knee and find lunge. So now, letting that right heel release directly behind your foot. And come up. You maybe have your blocks if you have them there handy. See if you can from here bring your right elbow over to your left knee. Okay, so the twist from here of bringing that left hand up and coming into prayer hands is kind of okay sometimes if you use a block, right? And some of you love this pose and do it without anything. Go right ahead. If you need to keep your gaze down at the floor, you can keep your gaze down. If you can turn your gaze to look to the side, go right ahead. Take your time, be where you can be. And then we'll bring our hands on back down to find lunge. And we're going to come on back into downward facing dog pose. Walk to the tops of the toes, the tops of the feet a couple of times, 1 foot at a time, pressing down into the mat. Good. And then let's come on out to plank, nice and strong. Take your time. Now, if you want to come through for a back bend, you choose. Do you want to go down to the floor and push up into your up dog or your cobra? Or do you want to come from that plank through? And then we'll make our way back into down dog. Bring your feet a little closer together. We're going to lift our right leg up in the air behind us, coming into that three-legged dog. So toes are facing down. Let the belly work a little bit here. And then we're going to bring that right foot on forward, and we're going to come up for warrior one, remember. So again, ease your way into getting that back foot settled. Think of the arches of both feet rising up. Let your arms kind of wiggle around a little bit. Adjust your mask. Take your time. I've got on a different brand. I don't think I'll wear this brand anymore. So be mindful here. Let yourself feel your shoulders square. Feel really good. Really balanced between your feet, right? And now let's inhale the left arm all the way out and up. And remember, a little side stretch. You can't go far, you'll just fall over. You got to really use your core. Feel that side waist, that left side waist there. Ooh, and then come on back up to the top. And we're going to try the other side. Right arm comes up. Again, feeling that lift up and over. It's not big. Good. And then we'll come on and lower that arm on down beside us. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. Go ahead. If you want to clasp your hands, do send your pointer finger up. Elbows hug in. Bringing the gaze up a little bit if you choose. Take your time. Feel that openness through the front of the left hip here. Imagine you're standing in the middle of a giant circle, right? And that your extremities are touching the circle. Tips of your fingers, your feet. And you can inhale up the front of that circle and exhale down the back. And then we're going to come back forward with our gaze. Release our arms on down beside us. Bring your hands to your heart, though, and straighten that front leg out. And do any adjusting you need to do for coming into getting your hips squared around here. And then let your arms come down, bring them behind you. Now, again, this is up to you, whether you hold hands or forearms or elbows or reverse namaste. And coming on forward, thighs engaging upward. So take your time. Don't go too far. If you feel like you're going to lose control, just stay up higher. Keep the legs working. Keep your spine extended and feel equal through the sides of your body. Beautiful. And then go ahead and lower your hands on down. And again, you know if you need to adjust your feet a little bit, once you get your hands grounded, do. Lengthen out through the spine now, because we're going to bring our right hand up to our right hip and roll that right shoulder up, coming into that twist, revolve triangle. Now you can keep your hand down or you can stretch your arm up. Be aware of that front foot fully on the floor. Make sure you're not rolling to the outside edge of it, which is very tempting. Take your time. And then bring the right hand on back down. Now, if it feels like a huge relief to fold over that front leg, go for it. If you're like, that feels so far from relief, I'm not doing it, then don't. Good. One more breath. And then we'll come on back out so we can bend the front knee to find lunge, remember. So now you're going to release that heel directly behind your foot. Now this twist, if you can keep your right hand on a block and put your left elbow over onto your right knee, that might be enough. You have some support there with your hand on the block. You don't have to lift the right hand up into prayer hands. And if you want to keep your gaze down, do. If you like to look over to the side, go for it. Beautiful. And then come on back down with your hands. And we're going to make our way back into downward facing dog pose. This time, walk again through the tops of the feet a little bit. And then come on out to plank. And let's do a little bit of a side plank or a variation thereof, right? So right knee down if you want to do the variation. And letting your right foot be like a kickstand. And you can lift your left arm up, maybe even your left foot up. Now if you're in your full side plank, that's fine too. You can be in your full side plank. You can let yourself even try to lift the top foot up if you're in full side plank, right? And then we'll come on back down. We're going to go to the other side. So again, left knee can go down. You can allow yourself to use like a kickstand, coming into your side plank variation there, or you can come into your full side plank. And then we'll come on back down with the hand. Find your plank here, plank pose. And if you want to come through for a back bend, you can come right down and through for up dog if you choose. And then we'll come back to down dog. Walk a little bit. Good. And then from here, we're going to bring our left foot forward, and we're coming up for warrior two. So be mindful. Get yourself set there. Line up your heels. Really enjoy finding that openness through the hips here in your warrior two. Let your arms come on up into a wide V. Turn your palms towards each other. Even turn your pinkies a little more inward. Good. Feel that ease now. You feel very balanced, right? Turn the palms away from each other and start to lower the arms down. Coming on into your warrior two arms. Bringing your gaze out over the top of that left hand. Now sometimes when you're in warrior two, you're like, oh, I just want to bend a little deeper. Sometimes just inching your toes forward a little bit feels good, right? Gets you a little bit longer stance. Let's turn our left palm up. Fold your right arm behind you and inhale the left arm up. Feel that breath coming into the left ribs. And on your exhale, come on into your side angle. So left forearm or hand onto your thigh. Draw your right shoulder up. Keep your left hand behind you for a second. Now you can keep it on your right hip or the midline, or you can even put that right hand way over to the top of your left hip if you want to. You know, just that depends on your shoulder. Let it feel good. Nice. And then look down at the floor and bring your right arm to where it just comes down and swings back and forth and back and forth. And then swing it up in line with your ear. That right arm is long. And as you press into your left forearm, open into your side angle here. Let yourself find side angle. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to turn to look down at the floor. Come back into your lunge. Take your time. Let yourself find lunge. And then back into downward facing dog pose. Once you get into down dog, walk a little bit. And then we're going to bring our knees down. And we're going to shift back towards child's pose. So letting yourself release. Now walk your hands over to the right. And breathe into the left side of the body here. And then walk your hands over to the left. And breathe into that side. Good. And then come on back into center with your hands. And on the next inhale, come out to all fours again. Remember how we went into Cobra before? See if you can let yourself come through for a Cobra pose. If you can't do it, don't do it. And then see if you can lift your knees up for an up dog. Now you can either keep the tops of the feet on the floor to do that, or you can curl your toes under and lift your knees up. Totally up to you. Don't have to do either one, and you know that. And then we'll come on back into down dog. So walk a little bit there. Shift your hips side to side a little bit. We're going to bring the right foot forward, and we're coming up for warrior two on this other side. So line up your heels. Line up that front knee. And remember, the stance, how long. Get comfortable, how deeply your knee is bent. And rise your arms up into that wide open V. Turn your pinkies towards each other so you feel space between your ears and your shoulders. Your shoulders aren't lifting way up. It just feels so easy to turn those pinkies in. Feel like your arms are growing out of your back. Beautiful. We're going to turn the palms away from each other and lower the arms down, bringing our gaze out over the top of the right hand here. Spread your fingers just a little bit. Feel energy in your hands. Feel the feet pressing gently away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer. And then we're going to fold our left arm behind us, turn our right palm up, and inhale and reach up towards the sky. Breathing into that right side. And on the exhale, come into side angle. Keep that left hand behind you if you can. Turn your palm away from you. And it can be on the top hip or the middle, or even all the way around onto that right hip if it feels good for your shoulder. Press into that right forearm. Draw your outer right hip back. Should feel really good. And then look down at the floor. Bring that left arm now just to swing back and forth. Back and forth. Feel the weight of the arm. And we're going to swing it up right by your ear with the pinky down and thumb up. And now to open to this side angle, press into that right forearm, and it feels so easy. Just let yourself open on up. Feel the length through both sides of your body. Good. One more breath. And then this time, turn to look at the floor. We're going to walk around into a wide-legged forward bend from here. So take your time. You can use your blocks. Start to get your feet around parallel. Bend a knee at a time. Just give yourself a little bit of time there. Bend both knees, of course, if you need to. Adjust your stance. Good. And then just release. In other words, find what you need in order to be comfortable in the pose. So hands can be on blocks, forearms can be on blocks, hands can be on the floor between your feet, behind you, on your ankles. If you want to change a couple of times what you're doing with your arms, do. You know, sometimes clasping the hands up on your back feels good, or coming forward. Play around again, in other words. Just play around a little bit. So that when you do feel ready to release into the pose, you can easily accept your breaths. If you're familiar with Ujjayi breathing and you feel very released when you bring the breath through your throat, inhaling and exhaling, you can. Or you can just be with watching those breaths fully and deeply in and out. And see how quickly your body calms down. One more full deep breath. And then from here, we're going to let ourselves come up enough to walk back over to our right foot. Come on back into lunge and back into your downward facing dog pose. And now this last vinyasa or kriya is up to you, right? We were all together at first, but now go for what feels good for you. You know, if you don't want to do any back bend, don't do any back bend. If you don't want to come through chaturanga, you'd rather come through those kriyas without bending your elbows, do that. Good. And then finish off, meet back in downward facing dog pose. Good. And from here, bend your knees really deeply. Think about sending your belly right onto your thighs if you can. Hug your elbows towards each other. Turn your head from side to side to look under one arm and then the other. And now to come forward, that's up to you if you want to jump or walk or step your way forward back towards your standing forward bend at the front of your mat. Full deep breaths. And then we'll let our hands come right on up to our hips. Bend your knees, press into your feet, coming on up to standing. We'll inhale the arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Go ahead and let your chin come down towards your chest for a second. You might even open your eyes if they're closed and look at your feet. See if you feel pretty good about your feet. Once you focus on your feet, your hands are really, out of focus. And then bring your focus to your hands. So now your feet are out of focus. Let yourself release there. And now as you start to think of inhaling the head up, bringing the gaze right on out and forward as though you're looking at the horizon. Enjoy finding your way or letting your body find its way into mountain pose. Nice. And then we'll release to let our arms come down beside us and shake out a little bit, move around. And we're going to bring our mats to a ball. So it is you two over here. You're right there, Sherman. Catherine, you're there. Huh? You are going to be, you're going to be there, Marta. She's going to be at the door, and you're going to be right by Cynthia. Right there, Randy. Yeah. The door is locked. It will not open. Just so you know. All right, so we're going to take our blocks, and we're going to come on forward and bring our right foot back to the wall behind us. We're going to practice a little half moon with our foot at the wall at first. So getting your hands in a good place for half moon, you can do your warrior three at first, so your toes are down, and get your hands, under your shoulders, so that left hand on that block is more to the pinky toe side of your foot, which will make it a lot easier when you open the toes away from the floor And start to think of stacking your right hip on top of your left, bringing your right hand up to your hip. So you're pressing your foot gently into the wall. You can rise that right arm up, you know that. See if you can imagine feeling that inner thigh of that left supporting leg. I probably don't have to imagine it, actually. It's right there, isn't it? So you can bring the right hand up to the hip. You can stretch the arm straight up towards the ceiling. The toes are slightly facing down of that right foot, remember. None of us have a 180-degree turnout where you're going to try to force that right hip pointer bone higher than it should be. Good, and then we're going to bring the right hand back down. We're going to lower the right foot down, and we're going to right away put the left foot up because that feels like a huge relief. Now, when you think of, you can look back at your left toes. When you think of opening them away from the floor, remember it's not all the way to the side of the room. It's more a little bit facing down. And then get that right hand where it's really easy to put your left hand up on your left hip. And man, oh man, there's the openness through the hips here and the length of the spine in your half moon. And you can decide if you want to bring the left arm up, keep the gaze at the floor if you want, look to the side if you want. Some of you might even want to think of looking up towards this hand up there if it's up towards the ceiling. Just be mindful, don't force it. Good, one more breath. And then come on down. Now you can squat however feels good to release your hips, right? Elbows above the knees, all the way down if you choose. The wall, you know, sit at the wall if you want to. Walls are great. And let's practice a little balance now, okay, for the half moon. So as you come up, and you know, if you're like, no way, I'm not going without my foot on the wall, then don't. You can put your foot back on the wall, or you can step a little away from the wall and try bringing your right foot up and opening the hip. And think about whether you even want to release your right hand up to your hip or not. You don't have to. You can stay with your hands down, but it's still, you know, without the foot on the wall, it's harder, right? It's a huge balance pose. Pressing into that heel back there, letting yourself find what you can. And you can be any height on those blocks. You can be your hand all the way down to the floor if you want. Good. Come on down to switch legs. So once you put that left foot back there, just another really important element is to think about the leg you're standing on. You want to have the foot right underneath you, because if the foot's too far back or too far forward, it makes it really hard. Everybody looks pretty well aligned here. You can play however you want. Some of you might want to bend that top knee and reach back and grab hold of your foot. I know some of you like to play with that little maneuver. Good. And then when you're ready, come on down. And again, find your squat. Now me, I like to be back at the wall in a squat sometimes and let myself release so that I can actually be up with my back at the wall, because that brings a different sense of release. But you can try, just do what feels really good for you. Let it feel really easy. Good. And then from here, we're right here and we're ready to bring our feet back to the wall. And come on into child's pose for a couple of breaths. Just let yourself release. Let your arms stay soft overhead if you can. And breathe into your low back. Good. And now, we'll come on forward onto our forearms. And let yourself, now for Dolphin, if you'd rather separate your hands and let your forearms be parallel to each other and your palms facing down towards the ground, go for it. If you'd rather clasp your hands and send your pinky finger out because that's more comfortable for you, do it. And then we'll lift on up with our heels up the baseboard here. If you get up and you realize you're not in the right place for your shoulders, you can come down and shift to where you will be okay. So how far you have your shoulders over your elbows is totally up to you and your shoulders. And I know some of you like to lift a foot up the wall. So if you like to do that in your Dolphin, if you like being inverted and coming up with a leg or both legs, go for it. So take your time. You know that when you need to rest, you rest. Come down and rest whenever you need, whether you like to rest in child's pose or you like to sit up with your head above your heart again. And sometimes it's just fun to go more than one time, to release for a couple of breaths and then try again. Even if you just come briefly up the second time. So if you do feel like rising up again, you can, but you don't have to. And you can switch how you're doing it. You know that too. Good. Ready to release your way down. Come on down. Let yourself breathe however you need, relaxing however you need to, of course. And we're all going to head our way onto our bellies with our feet back towards the wall behind us, okay? So let yourself come on down onto your belly. Go ahead and come onto your forearms. Do a brief little Sphinx pose just to let your back release. Actually turn your palms up for a second, but let your hands be really relaxed. So your hands are curling gently like they do when you're relaxed, and your fingers are, and you're just released there. Good. And now we're going to roll onto our left side. Now, if you can, when you roll to your left side, get close enough to the wall to where your feet are in the wall. Your left foot is really pressing into the baseboard. Right, which is kind of fun. It feels really good. You know, and the left foot is pressing in. From here, all we're going to do is bring the right foot up like we're doing tree pose. Whether it comes into the inner calf or the inner thigh, it doesn't matter. And see if you can then put your right hand on your right hip. Press into the wall a little bit. It helps stabilize very easily, actually. And now you can stretch your right arm overhead too if you want. So you can clasp your hands together if you want to. Send your pointer finger out. Press into that foot on the wall, that left foot. You can just real easily allow that right hip to open a little more. And now you don't have to do any more than that. If you want to bring your right hand and reach your right knee and pull it up towards you, you can. And if you want, you can extend that leg up into Anantasana, the only side-lying yoga pose there is, right? So if you want to extend the leg up long, rotate the heel forward. Keep pressing into the baseboard with that left foot. You can really enjoy coming into that outward hip rotation. One more breath. And then bend the knee so you can bring the foot back like you're doing tree briefly. And then we'll lower the leg all the way down long. We're going to roll to our belly. Once you get to your belly, get the balls of your feet on the wall back there. Bring your arms down alongside you. Bring the feet up higher if you can as you lift up into a little locust pose. You can press the feet gently into the wall, whether it's your toes or the balls of your feet. Engage your belly. You don't need to come up high. And then we'll come on back down and we're going to roll to the right side. So again, you got to get to where you've got the right foot pressing into the wall and you're lined up like you're standing up in mountain pose, right? Take your time. When you're ready and you feel comfortable to bring that left foot up like you're doing tree do, put your left hand on your hip when you're ready. So there you are. You can stretch the left arm too overhead if you want to, if that feels really good. Let it feel, it's so easy, right? Sideline tree. Now, deciding whether you like to do this further elongation of that left leg. You don't have to. You can just use your left hand and draw the knee in towards your shoulder. That might be enough. That might be a huge hip release, or you might want to extend the leg up long. Whether you hold on to the inside or outside of that left leg, or you do your big toe hold up there to your foot, or just enjoy. Keep pressing gently into the wall. Feel how that helps. Really helps find even more in the outward hip rotation. It helps stabilize. One more breath. And then bring the foot down again like you're doing tree pose. Release the hip for a breath. And then go ahead and stretch your leg down long. And we're going to roll back to our bellies. Let yourself come on into lying on your belly. Bring your forehead onto your hands stacked up, and then bend both your knees and let your feet circle a little bit. And then let your lower legs come from one side to the other. Good. And now from here, bring your hands back. So you can shift up and back towards all fours. But from here, we're going to bring our left knee forward and come into a pigeon pose. So take your time. You know, if you know full pigeon is absolutely not doable for you, lie on your back and do a figure four. If you can bring your left knee towards the left front corner of your mat, and maybe even slip a blanket underneath you if you feel like you're dropping into that side, you want to try to get your hips fairly level. This knee angles a little bit, so this left heel comes in towards your right hip pointer bone right here. Now you can lift up and let yourself enjoy right there and feel that openness across your chest. And now when you're ready to come forward, take your time. So if you ever feel any kind of glitchiness in your knee or your hip, use support, grab blocks if you want to for under your forearms or your head. Press gently into the top of your right foot back there. So imagine your toenails pressing into the floor a little bit. And now play with engaging like you're trying to hug your thighs towards each other and towards the midline of the mat. And then imagine that you're trying to make your mat longer with your thighs. So they're reaching away from each other, different total feeling. Good. One more breath. And now come onto your forearms so that you've just got yourself up, your elbows are under your shoulders, and you can bend your right knee. And that might be just a little bit of a bend. You'll feel your quad. That might be plenty enough right here. Now, if you want to walk up more with your hands and get up higher with your body, you can. That's up to you. And I know some of you will want to reach back and get hold of your right foot with your right hand. That's up to you if you do that or not. Totally optional. And now we're going to release and come back down. We're going to switch legs. So however you want to do that. If you need to go back through a down dog, do. Bringing that right knee forward on that diagonal line. And getting yourself there so that when you lift up, you feel okay. You don't feel, you need that support under the hips so you're not dropping into that side. Take your time. Let yourself enjoy coming up with the upper body if you can. Good. And then as you ease forward, again, if you start to feel any glitchiness, do whatever you need to do. And you know, every day's a new day as far as how your body feels in a pose. You know, there are some days that my knee tells me not to do this, so I just don't do it. But you just really want to pay attention and be mindful. This is a deep pose. Really deep into the hips and, of course, the knees. Press into the top of the left foot. And now see if you can come to your forearms. Again, you're up on your forearms here. You're going to try bending your left knee, flexing through the foot. And that's the one that can sometimes put a lot of pressure into that right knee. So I'm serious. Don't do it if it bothers you. If you like to come up to your hands, sometimes that feels better than being down on your forearms also. And of course, reaching back is totally optional. Getting hold of the top of that foot. Pressing the foot into your hand. Whether you hold the outside of the foot or even hold the inside of the foot. Sometimes that feels better in people's shoulders to hold the inside instead of the outside. And then we're going to release and come on back down. And see if you can just swing over to the right hip and bring your legs on around in front of you now. Get your blanket on out of the way. Stretch your legs on out. Lean back a little bit into your hands. Let yourself just feel your heels on the floor. Good. And we're going to come down onto our backs. If you like rolling down, do. Or, some of you might even want to go through a half boat where you come into long arms and legs. You engage your belly a little bit here and lower yourself slowly, slowly down. Now, that's not for everybody. So you do what you can. Don't do something that bothers your back. Once you get down to the floor, bring your knees in. Maybe a happy baby sounds like a good idea. Maybe you feel the need to stretch your legs long, right? Be mindful. And then, just let your feet come on down, and let your knees come from side to side. In these little double knee twists, you can either put your feet down first. If that feels good to you, do that. Or you can let your knees be in towards your chest and lower them from one side to the other. Let it be your own timing, though. So you're not rushing anything. And maybe your body wants to do something else entirely. By all means, if there's anything that sounds like a good idea to you right now, do it. So if you need to, let yourself come into any other pose or movement. I'm starting to move around and get all the lights, and then I will start to bring any kind of props anybody needs. So if a bolster sounds like a good idea, wave at me.
What was it from? Thank you, though.
I will find a few people I know. If you need to stretch out, do it. If you need to move your arms or your legs to a better place, do that. And just accept where you are right now. Accept your breaths coming in and going out. Feel really easily that you can allow the support of the firmness of the floor to help you soften. It's like you're just melting down into the ground. And give yourself these few minutes. Let your body, let your brain do what they need to do to benefit from all you just did. Let yourself completely and fully relax. awareness back to feeling that firmness of the floor underneath you again. And just allow your breath to gradually deepen and lengthen. Be aware of feeling your inhales and your exhales. Imagine they're equally important as you come back into wanting to move again. Fingers and toes, hands, feet. If it feels good to circle through your hands, your feet a little bit, moving your wrists, your ankles. Just take your time as you come up through your arms, your legs, moving how you need, stretching or bending. And you're welcome to stay on your back. You're welcome to roll onto either side. If you're more comfortable to be on your side, let yourself do that. Give your body and your brain time to adjust back here to being physical. And when you feel ready to rise up, let yourself feel like you could float up. It's that effortless feeling again of sitting comfortably, finding that sense of reaching up through the crown of your head so you have all that space in your spine. Come back to your breath. And see if you can softly bring your hands so the palms face your chest, and you just have one hand on top of the other, just letting the hands rest there on your chest. And then softly allowing the hands to meet now. Fingers and palms coming in together. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Namaste. Happy Tuesday.